The envelope arrived on a Thursday in October. Thick, cream-colored, with a law firm's name embossed in the corner. Whitmore and Associates, Estate Planning and Family Law. I opened it standing at my kitchen counter. Read the first page, then the second. By the third page I started laughing. By the fifth I had to sit down. It was a formal demand that I repay my parents $47,000 for the cost of raising me. They had itemized diapers. My name is Claire Henderson. I'm 29. I hadn't spoken to my parents in 2 years, 3 months, and 16 days. Not since I walked out of their house on Thanksgiving and didn't look back. I grew up outside Philadelphia. My father, Robert, was a pharmaceutical sales manager. My mother, Diane, worked part-time for a dental practice. 4-bedroom house, 2-car garage, white fence. Appearances mattered. They had 2 children. My older brother, Jason, was the favored one. Football player, business degree, sales career, like our father. Robert called him his legacy. Diane called him her pride and joy. I was the backup child, the one who existed to make Jason look better. 5th grade, I won 2nd place in this district spelling bee. Came home with a trophy. My parents were hosting a dinner party. My father glanced at it and asked why I hadn't won first. My mother said 2nd place was nice but didn't display it. The trophy went into a box in the garage. That same year, Jason made the middle school football team. They threw him a celebration dinner, invited the neighbors, bought a cake that said future champion. I sat at the end of the table and ate my slice in silence. High school, I joined debate team. Won 3 regional tournaments junior year. My parents never attended one competition. Said debate wasn't a real sport. Jason played varsity football. They went to every game, bought booster sweatshirts, tailgated in the parking lot. When I asked if they could come to state finals, my mother said it was the same weekend as Jason's homecoming game. I took the bus, placed first, called them from the school lobby. My father said that's great and asked if I'd remembered to defrost the chicken. College was worse. I got into a small liberal arts school on academic scholarship. They said it was fine but not prestigious. Jason went to the same state university our father attended. They paid his tuition in full, bought him a car, gave him a credit card. My scholarship covered most of my tuition. I still needed help with room and board. They contributed $3,000 per semester. The rest was my responsibility. I worked 20 hours a week at the campus library, took out loans, graduated with $31,000 in debt. Jason graduated with none. At my graduation, they arrived late and left before the reception. At Jason's, they hosted a catered party with a banner. After college, I moved to Boston. Got a job at a nonprofit working with underserved youth. My parents said nonprofit work was noble but not practical. Said I should get a real job. I ignored them. Rented a small apartment, adopted a cat, made friends, built a life. They called twice a year, Christmas and my birthday, 10 minutes each. Asked how work was going, told me about Jason's promotions, never asked about my life. I stopped expecting them to. The breaking point was Thanksgiving 2 years ago. I drove to Philadelphia. Hadn't seen them in 8 months. My mother answered the door, told me to put my bag in the guest room. Jason was already there with his fiancée, Stephanie, marketing exec, designer clothes. Diane fawned over her, showed her the china, asked her opinion on centerpieces and napkin colors. I stood in the kitchen and watched. No one asked my opinion. No one asked about my work. No one asked about my life. During dinner, my father raised his glass. Said he wanted to make a toast. Said he was grateful for family. Looked at Jason. Said Jason had made him proud every day of his life. Said Jason's was everything a father could hope for. Everyone clinked glasses. No one looked at me. After the toast, Stephanie talked about the wedding. 200 guests. Diane asked if they needed help with costs. My father said he'd cover the rehearsal dinner. Said it was the least they could do for their son. I set down my fork. Asked if they'd offered to help me with anything recently. The table went quiet. I said I had $31,000 in student loans. Said I'd asked for help 2 years ago when I was struggling to make payments. They'd told me it was my responsibility. Asked why Jason's wedding was their responsibility, but my education debt wasn't. My father said that was different. I asked how. He said Jason had worked hard and earned their support. I asked if working 20 hours a week while maintaining a 3.7 wasn't hard work. My mother said I was being ungrateful. Said they'd done everything for me. Said I owed them respect. I said respect was earned, not owed. My father stood up, told me to leave. Said if I couldn't be civil, I wasn't welcome. I picked up my purse, walked out, drove back to Boston. Deleted their numbers from my phone. 2 years passed. I paid down my loans, got promoted, started dating someone kind, went to therapy. Built a life that felt like mine. I was happy. Then the envelope arrived. The document was 12 pages, an itemized invoice. Diapers, formula, clothing, medical expenses, school supplies, extracurricular fees, groceries, utilities, portion of the mortgage allocated to my bedroom. Total, $47,312. Demanded repayment within 60 days. Failure to comply would result in legal action. Signed by Jonathan Whitmore, attorney at law. I called my best friend Maya. She came over, read it, looked up and said this can't be real. I said it was. She said it was as unhinged. I said it was exactly what I should have expected. I contacted an attorney named Rebecca Torres. Family law, good reviews. Brought her the document. She read it carefully, looked up and said she'd seen unusual things in family law, but this was new. Said the demand was legally baseless. Parents can't bill adult children for raising them. Asked what outcome I wanted. I said I wanted to make it clear I wouldn't be intimidated. She smiled. Said we could do that. Rebecca drafted a response, professional, concise, devastating. Thanked Mr. Whitmore for his correspondence. Noted the demand was without legal merit. Explained that parental obligations to minor children were a matter of law, not contract. Fulfilling those obligations didn't create a debt. Further noted that if my parents wished to pursue legal action, I'd countersue for emotional distress, harassment, and frivolous litigation. Closed by suggesting Mr. Whitmore advise his clients to seek counseling rather than further legal remedy. She sent it certified mail. 3 weeks later, my phone rang. Jason. Hadn't spoken to him in 2 years. He didn't say hello. Said our parents were furious. Said my lawyer's letter humiliated them. I asked if he'd seen the invoice they sent me. He said he's had. Said it was their way of making a point. I asked what point. He said they felt unappreciated. I said they sent me a bill for $4,000 because they felt unappreciated. He said I was being difficult. I asked if he'd received a similar bill. Silence. I told him I had no interest in repairing a relationship with people who saw me as a debtor. Hung up. 1 month later, my Aunt Linda called. My mother's younger sister. Said she needed to talk. We met for coffee. She said she'd heard about the invoice. Said Diane had told the whole family, was playing the victim. Linda said she'd watched the favoritism for years. Tried to say something once and Diane stopped speaking to her for 6 months. Said she was sorry, should have done more. She pulled an envelope from her bag. Said it was from my grandmother, Diane's mother, who'd passed 4 years earlier. Said the envelope had been left in her care, with instructions to give it to me when the time was right. She thought the time was now. Inside was a handwritten letter on cream stationery. Shaky but legible. Dated 3 months before my grandmother's death. She wrote that she'd watched Diane treat me unfairly for years. Tried to intervene, but Diane wouldn't listen. Said she was leaving me something in her will, but feared Diane wouldn't honor it. So she'd given Lyndon an envelope with a check and instructions to deliver it when I needed it most. The letter ended saying I deserved better than the family I'd been born into, and that she'd always been proud of me. I unfolded the second piece of paper. A check. Made out to me. Dated the week before her death, $50,000. Linda said it had been held in escrow. Still valid, mine. I asked why she'd waited 2 years. She said the letter specified the check should be delivered when I'd truly separated from my parents. The invoice made it clear that separation was complete. I deposited the check the next day. Paid off my student loans in full. $17,000 remaining balance. Put $20,000 in savings. Used the rest to fund a scholarship at my college for first-generation students studying social work. Named it after my grandmother. Didn't tell my parents, didn't tell Jason. Told Maya and Rebecca. They took me out to dinner. White tablecloths, candles, wine, and pasta. I felt lighter than I had in years. 2 months later, Jason called again. Said our parents wanted to talk, wanted to apologize. I asked if they'd actually said the word apologize. He hesitated. Said they wanted to explain their perspective. I said that wasn't the same thing. He said they were for family. I said family wasn't an obligation. Said family was something people built through love and respect, and my parents had built neither. Said I was done. He said I was being selfish. I said I was being healthy. Hung up, blocked his number. Spring came. Another promotion. Bigger apartment, second cat. Sunday in April I hosted brunch, mismatched plates, bright napkins. Pancakes, eggs, fruit salad, coffee. Windows open, warm breeze, smell of blooming trees. My friends talked and laughed. Someone told a story about a disastrous date. Someone showed travel photos. I looked around the table and realized this was my family. Not the people who raised me. The people who chose me, who saw me and valued me and celebrated me. The people who would never send me an invoice. Later that afternoon, both cats curled beside me on the couch. I thought about the invoice. The letter from my grandmother. The scholarship I'd created. My parents tried to bill me for being born. My grandmother left me enough money to pay off my debts and start fresh. The universe, I thought, had a sense of humor and justice. If you're watching this, and you recognize yourself in this story, if you've ever been told you owe something to people who gave you the bare minimum, this is for you. You don't owe your parents repayment for raising you. You don't owe anyone access to your life if they've spent years making you feel invisible. You're allowed to walk away from people who see you as a debt rather than a daughter. You're allowed to build your own family from the people who choose you back. Blood doesn't make someone family. Love does, respect does, and invoices have no place in either. I never spoke to my parents again. I never needed to.